Hello and happy Halloween. Wahahaha. How are you, Cindy? One thing that I would like to say before I get too far into this, sorry, I put it over here by the window. Um, yes, still a bad habit of mine. But whoever is sending out all these false messages about Ozzy Osbourne passing away, please stop. He is not deceased. He hasn't passed. Um, Cindy, do you watch Ziggy? I didn't know if maybe you did, and if maybe you heard anything. I haven't heard anything. I'm pulling a Jody Sue. I got a cigarette and a cup of coffee, but I have a dog instead of a cat. So, is anyone at the fun Halloween parties? Would you like to talk about some of the latest news, like the Abby and Libby case? Shocking to me. I mean, I knew that he lived in the community and walked amongst them. I thought it was Logan, but um, I still think he might have had something to do with it. Either maybe he was the other man, because I believe there was two. Oh man, I should be drinking out of my witch's cup. I just thought about that. Maybe I should go change cups real quick. She'd probably jump all over this thing. She's a mess. Well, I've been thinking about her, and I've been thinking about him and praying for him. That's all I can do. And, talk to her about the other side. A lot of you don't know me. I'm Sherry. I am a psychic medium. I'm a Christian, but I still like to have fun and I smoke. So, sorry. I'm not perfect. None of us are. So, don't hold any grudges. If you do, I don't really care anyway. Penny, you look sad. Yeah, you didn't get to stay out very long, did you? She pulls so bad, I can't hardly stand it. I think I need to go get my witch's cup. And maybe some candy. No, I'm kidding. Definitely don't need any candy. Um, but there she is. You look sad. Are you sad? It's not tired time yet. Usually about 10 o'clock, they have one last round of playing and then they get tired. But I'm going to go get my Halloween cup right quick. I'll be right back. Okay, that's better. I can't believe I haven't drank out of this thing all day. Yep. That witch is brew. So the photograph that I saw was very. She got my mail. Hey, don't tear that up. Give me that. Leave it alone. Wow. Girlfriend, you need to go lay down. Like he's laying down. You don't like to lay down, do you? You like to be. She is on the run all the time. And I can train her to a point, but she is so far at that point where I need help. She is really strong. And I'm kind of worried that maybe I just shouldn't have gotten a great big strong dog. I mean, I should be able to maintain it, but she's so strong. I That's why I think she needs professional training. I mean, I've tried every tip that they give you. So she just go, go, go all the time. Oh, there is a possum uh, on the other side of this big fence. And when we go out for a walk, she is after that possum. She went through a fence, and it was so bad to the point where I thought I was going to lose my hand, and I had to let go of that leash. I mean, I had it tied to my arm, and I had it hooked around my arm, and I tried to have her on a short leash. And I know that's terrible. I hate that. But she pulls, and once that rope is gone, it's gone. Um, it's just the leash, it's not a rope. But I just don't know. No, no, you don't, ma'am. No, no. What are you looking for? Get your mouth off of there. She's done tore up the screen. She has been chewing on this board in front of the window, like the windowsill. Um, Now she's chewing on my couch. She's already had a rawhide. A big, big ass rawhide. And she's ate it. It's gone. Penny, quit chewing on the couch. No. I always tell her, not, and they'll stop. But she's stubborn. She's got a mind of her own. I'm sorry. The Delphi case. I wanted to pull up some pictures and find out what everybody else thinks. I've been watching Ozzy Osbourne live concerts on TV. Been getting in the spirit of the holiday. I don't go out and party, and I don't even hand out candy. I don't think kids do that much anymore. I think if they do, it's with their school, which is probably not happening. Because I think they only get Valentine and Christmas to celebrate, if I'm not mistaken. So, That would be that one. Let me look and probably have to mute myself. I don't know. Let's see first. Okay. I wonder if I could search first. I wonder. Let's see here. Okay, so in order for me to share this, I will have to, I think, mute myself.
Good morning. My name is Sergeant Jeremy Pierce, Public Information Officer for the Indiana State Police Lafayette Post. I'd like to thank you all for being here and thank the Delphi United Methodist Church for allowing us to use their facility. This morning, we're going to provide an update on the investigation into the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. Before we get started, I'm going to introduce to you our speakers, Superintendent of the Indiana State Police, Doug Carter, the Carroll County Sheriff, Tobe Lesenby, and the Carroll County Prosecutor, Nick McClelland. I'd like to remind everyone that this continues to be an active and ongoing investigation. At the conclusion of this press conference, we are going to answer a limited amount of questions out of respect to the investigation and the process that will follow today. We will not discuss evidence that is related to this investigation. On behalf of the Delphi Double Homicide Task Force, thank you all for your continued support. I would now like to introduce to you our first speaker, Superintendent of the Indiana State Police, Doug Carter.
Give me just a second here. Seldom do I have prepared remarks, but today is different because I do not want there to be any confusion or ambiguity with what I will say. Today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder is sure a major step in leading to the conclusion of this long-term and complex investigation. First, I'd like to speak directly to Anna, Mike, Becky, Kelsey, your extended families, along with the entire Delphi community that certainly has grown and now includes our nation and even many countries around the world. I am proud to report to you that today, actually last Friday, was the day, and an arrest has been made. Thanks to literally hundreds of media outlets that have been steadfast in reporting and keeping the memories of Abby and Libby front and center. Many of you in the room have developed relationships with me personally, and I always have a personal perspective, and today's no different. But from a very personal perspective, you all have provided inspiration and support, even while oftentimes frustrated with us and me. You continue to encourage the efforts, and you too believe that one day we would all be here participating and sharing this news. To the entire law enforcement community, which includes all local, state, and federal agencies, which are far too many to specifically mention today, thank you, thank you, thank you. We are going to continue a very methodical and committed approach to ensure that if any other person had any involvement in these murders in any way, that person or persons will be held accountable. Since the murders of Abby and Libby 2,086 days ago, the daily investigative team has worked tirelessly and is certainly worthy of mention today. Specifically, Sheriff Linsonby, the Sheriff of Carroll County, Detectives Tony Liggett, Detective retired Kevin Hammond, former Delphi Chief, and
I will say that this guy here is you could tell he's 100% invested in this case, these little girls, and breaks my heart for him, really does, for all of them, honestly. But let's finish this. I don't think this is a very long, but we might not listen to all of it. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
now the prosecutor's investigator, Steve Mullins, State Police First Sergeant Jerry Holman, Detectives Jay Harper, Dave Vito, and Brian Harshman, along with members of the United States Marshal Service, specifically Agent Jeremy Clinton and Agent Bill Colfers. With them today is Dan McClain, the U.S. Marshal, appointed U.S. Marshal. Our state police analyst, our scientist from many different disciplines within our laboratory division, Mrs. Kathy Shank, for your incredible dedication to detail, and to so many others that I know I've missed. I really believe that Abby and Libby would be proud of you for standing strong, even in the face of immense pressure and perpetual criticism. Some of these individuals have postponed retirement, passed on promotional opportunity, have dedicated personal time away from their families, given up nights, weekends, and holidays, all while in the pursuit of accountability for Abby and Libby. I know that today's announcement will not diminish your resolve, and I hope you have found just a bit of peace in this most complicated world. This is really important. While I know you are all expecting final details today concerning this arrest, today is not that day. Today's not that day. This investigation is far from complete, and we will not jeopardize its integrity by releasing or discussing documents or information before the appropriate time. Prosecutor Nick McClellan, of course, will share additional information about what we can and cannot say, and also explain to you why the probable cause affidavit is temporarily sealed by the court and not available. And by the way, he has been a tremendous, tremendous asset to this team. I'm yet again asking you for your patience and please your understanding while our system of due process works. Also remember that all persons arrested are presumed innocent. All persons arrested are presumed innocent. You all will have an innate desire to subjectively interpret and then report what you think. We in the law enforcement realm cannot, and you should never allow us to, talk about what we think concerning facts, but rather discuss and share at the right time what it is we know. The time will come when additional details can be released. But again, today is not that day. It's about Abby and Libby, their families, and this community, this nation, and even our planet. The prosecutor has been very clear with law enforcement about what his expectations are, about what can and cannot be released, shared, or discussed. So we will, of course, comply. If you choose to be critical of our silence, be critical of me, not the front line. These are the folks that have committed their entire lives to a successful conclusion. In other words, a guilty verdict. As we move to the next phase of this investigation, I will continue to offer all resources that the ISP has to not only the investigative team I anticipate growing, but also to Prosecutor McClellan as we prepare for the coming months. Again, Nick has been very resolute and very clear, and I'm most grateful for his leadership. And it's going to be really important as we move forward. Please continue offering tips that you would like to share. The many avenues to report will remain open and will be available to all. Please continue doing that. In closing, I stand before you in this church and very place where we held our first briefing nearly 6 years ago, and just hours after the murders of Abby and Libby. Right here. Pulling in today, I wasn't really sure what emotion I would experience. But peace came over me. And I didn't expect that to happen. And I hope all of you, with all the different responsibilities you have from around the planet today, have felt some of that as well. But remember, we're not done. I think what we all have experienced proves that together there's nothing we cannot do. But more importantly, giving of ourselves, all of us, giving of ourselves matters more than what we could ever receive. Abby and Libby, though in death, have had a profound effect on so many of us, on how we live, and as importantly, who we all should be. I would now like to introduce to you my friend and the Carroll County Sheriff, Tom Lidsby, for his remarks. Sheriff.
My goodness. I thought this would be a good place to pause. This gentleman named Doug, ooh, he gets me. My thing is, I heard today that he actually helped in the search, which I'm not surprised. He wanted to involve himself in that so that he could know what they know, you know? So that makes sense. Let's go ahead and finish.
I believe in a God of justice and righteousness. Today, I believe that same God has provided us with justice for Abby and Libby. As Sheriff of Carroll County, Indiana, I want to publicly and sincerely thank each individual who played a role in helping us during this 5.5-year investigation. Whether it was in an investigative capacity, providing tips, cards or letters of suggestions or encouragement, phone calls, and thousands of other countless ways of communicating. I earnestly thank those who prayed for this moment in time. We now move forward through the Indiana criminal justice system, allowing the system to provide its due diligence and process in providing that justice which is owed Abby and Libby, their families, and this community. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Nicholas McClellan. I'm the Carroll County prosecutor. And before we get started, I want to reiterate some of the things that Sheriff Lesenby and Superintendent Carter stated. I first want to thank both of them. They've been a great support to my office throughout this investigation. They've always been there for a phone call and always been willing to help a hand or a line of assistance to me and my office during this investigation. I want to thank the team behind me. This is the Homicide Task Force team that we've put together. Thank them and thank their families for being so understanding for the many nights they've worked away from their families, away from their children. There are many dates in a lifetime that you're going to remember. The date your children are born, the date you're married, the date you buy a first house, the date Abby and Libby went missing. One of those dates was last Friday, October 28, 2022. At that time, we had gathered evidence to formulate a PC that we submitted to the court, and the judge did find probable cause for an arrest of Richard Allen. He's been charged with 2 counts of murder for the murder of Abigail Wayne.
I'm going to back that up because I think didn't you just say 2022? What? I missed something.
Williams and Liberty German. This investigation is still very ongoing. We're keeping the tip line open. I want to thank the team behind me. This is the Homicide Task Force team that we've put together. Thank them and thank their families for being so understanding for the many nights they've worked away from their families, away from their children. There are many dates in a lifetime that you're going to remember. The date your children are born, the date you're married, the date you buy a first house, the date Abby and Libby went missing. One of those dates was last Friday, October 28, 2022. At that time, we had gathered evidence to formulate a PC that we submitted to the court, and the judge did find probable cause for an arrest of Richard Allen. He's been charged with 2 counts of murder for the murder of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. This investigation is still very ongoing. We're keeping the tip line open, the tip email open. We encourage everybody to continue to call in tips, not only about Richard Allen, but about any other person that you may have. For that reason and for the nature of this case, the probable cause and the charging information has been sealed by the court. I've been very clear to everybody that per the court order, we cannot talk about the evidence that's in the probable cause or the evidence that's in the charging information. That will become evident to you at some point and it'll be released, but right now is not that day. Today's about Abby and Libby, focusing on them. Mr. Allen has had his initial hearing. He's entered a preliminary plea of not guilty. The matter's been set for a pretrial on January 13th at 9 a.m., 2023, and a trial date of March 20th, 2023 at 9 a.m. He is presumed innocent. We will have an opportunity and day in court when we can present the evidence that we have against him. But until that day, he is presumed innocent. I want to open it up to a few limited questions from the audience. But again, keep in mind, we are not going to talk about the evidence that we have in this case or about the charging information. We cannot. Those things have been sealed by the court. And so I want to open up a few questions.
Prosecutor, when did Richard Allen become a suspect, and do you think he acted alone?
Again, that's part of the investigation, so I'm not going to talk about those things. What I can say is that we have probable cause established by the court for his arrest, and he is in custody. He's being held currently without bond.
How long has he been a suspect?
I'm sorry? Again, that gets into the evidence we have of the investigation, and I know from everybody it's frustrating. I know everybody, not only reporters, but the family, everybody wants to know more information. I understand it's frustrating, but my goal is to maintain the integrity of this case.
Superintendent Carter, you had said that you believe that you had spoken to the suspect or the suspect's family 2 years ago. Is this man one of those people?
Again, I appreciate the question, but we're getting into the timeline of events, and today's not the time to do that.
Can you talk about how rare it is?
Family, I know you've had a lot of conversations with them. We were almost in tears pretty much when we started off this press conference. Can't imagine how emotional it is for everybody that's worked on this case. What was your conversation first like with the family, Matt, when you were able to tell them you finally got the suspect?
It was a very personal moment for me, and I think it was a very personal moment for them, for all of us that have had interaction with the family. We developed a relationship that I think is going to last at least one lifetime, and maybe a second. So it was a very, very, very sad yet a very humbling experience.
Superintendent, you asked for tips. You detective work was a reward of $325,000. Did this all come together to make this nexus, that the combination of all three things that led us to this day, or is it one or the other?
Well, eventually you'll be able to see what led us to this day. But again, today's not that day. To include the reward, you mentioned that, Raphael, about the reward itself, and again, very premature for us to talk about that. There's still a tremendous amount of work to do.
You're going to say that Abby and Libby have taught you in depth that we can remain to continue on with it.
I think probably resilience and understanding the value of each and every day. That today was the day, but I didn't anticipate they ever thought today would be their day. And I feel like I've known them for a long time. Excuse me?
Do you assume there's any other individuals involved in this case?
We haven't closed the door on the investigation. And so that's why we keep the tip line and the tip email open. And so we're not presuming anything at this point, but we're going to continue to take tips, continue to take any information anybody has. And as we've done with all the information we've gathered, we're going to look at that and examine that and see where it leads us.
Is
explain the law. You've asked the court, based on this investigation, that these documents should remain out of the public view. Can you explain, without getting into the details of what's in the documents, well, this is not regular, usually a public hearing is held, we should be able to see all the documents, right?
Sure, sure.
You made a decision. Can you explain your decision as to why you believe that maybe for the next 30 days, no one in this room should have access to those records?
Sure. It is unusual. We don't do it very often in all the cases that we handle here in Carroll County. We did it in this case because the investigation is still open. And while all cases are important, the nature of this case has some extra scrutiny with it. And so my office, felt it was important to seal those records. There will be a public hearing on whether or not those records are going to remain sealed or not. There'll be public notice for that hearing so that everyone can attend, but there will be a hearing to determine whether or not they're going to stay sealed. But for now, to me, it's about protecting the integrity of this case. I want to have an opportunity at some point to have an opportunity in court to explain the evidence and for that not to be tarnished or tainted or anything like that. Again, he's presumed innocent. And so it was important for me in this case to do that. Hold on just a minute. We're not going to comment on that right now as part of the investigation. Again, we just encourage everybody to continue to call in tips if they have them about anybody, and we'll examine those tips.
How does it feel for you guys to have searched nationwide for nearly 6 years, going all over the place, only to find your guy, down the street from your office?
That's a hard question to answer. It's a mixed emotions. I've been watching the news all weekend like everybody else has, and I think a lot of the members of the public said it right. It's bittersweet. It's a step in the right direction. It's concerning that he's a local guy. So I think just different emotions. Again, this is a step in the right direction. This is the first step into getting into court and having a trial. And so.
All right. That concludes our press conference today. Shortly, I will be releasing a press release that will have
Okay, so there's that. I know there's probably a lot of people that's already seen this, but just in case you haven't, I wanted to be able to share this and thank you to Channel 13. Let's see who this is exactly. Because I seen it go by a while ago.
this photo and a couple more details that'll also be here for handout. That'll also be on the Indiana State Police Lafayette Post Facebook page.
WGHR.
Right after this press conference, I'm going to send it out. There's also hard documents in the back. Thank you all for taking the time to be here today, and be safe as you travel home.
Okay. Oop, I need to stop that first.
Today's about Abby and Libby, focusing on them.
Okay. Yes, it is. Let's see. I was wanting to share something else too. Let's see. I better shut that one down. They had some pictures of this guy side by side with the bridge guy picture, and they had them almost like blended together. That was very cool. It showed they look like they fit together. I hear a highway. I'm sure you do too. I'm sorry. That video I shared with you on the news conference for Abby and Libby is considered use under fair use for educational and informational purposes only. I'm sure it's it's going to be all over the place, not just here at my little bitty channel. So I'm not too concerned. It's nothing. Nobody can hurt me over. So, I would like. There was a voice analysis done between. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it. Okay. Richard Allen. Ian. Okay, here we go. Voice analysis in Delphi. Okay, let's see. No. Wow. It's all over the place. But I really want the voice analysis. Okay, this is Inside Edition. Let's see. I will. Okay. I will have to do this.
All of this information right here. That was about it until the first sketch of the suspect was released in July 17th of 2017, which leads to quite some time later on April 22nd of 2019. That's when ISP announced that they were moving in a new direction. Now, one thing that should be noted, that all of this was happening before Ronald Logan passed away in 2020.
State Police Superintendent Doug Carter has cautioned against speculating in the wake of this leaked document. While he wouldn't comment directly on it, he says there are still things investigators know that they will not share with the public. In fact, just last December, police started looking for information about the Anthony Schatz profile, leading them to Keegan Kline. He's currently in jail tonight on charges for crimes against children, but is not charged in this Delphi case. As always, if you have any information that can help investigators, send them an email to this address. We've got it posted on your screen and also on WTHR.com/Delphi.
8 at 5 starts now.
We begin at 5 o'clock with stunning new revelations in the Delphi murders. It's a story we first broke for you on TV and online this morning.
ITMate has obtained court documents that, for the first time, publicly describe the scene where those murders took place. What was taken from the scene and a potential early suspect in the case, ITMate's Demi Johnson, has been following the story from day one. Demi, this document, very powerful.
Yeah, that's right, Phil and Alexis. It's this 9-page request for a search warrant filed March 17th of 2017. Now, that's a little more than a month after Libby German and Abby Williams were found murdered in Delphi. This disturbing document, for the first time, gives us an investigator's description of the crime scene and what the suspect may have taken with him.
ITMate obtained the request for the search warrant from the Murder Sheet podcast, the same group that first published the interview transcript of Anthony Schott's suspect, Kagan Klein. ITMate has confirmed the document is authentic. The document, written by an FBI agent, describes what investigators found when they discovered the bodies of Abby Williams and Libby German on February 14th. The agent writes a large amount of blood was lost by the victims at the crime scene. Because of the nature of the victim's wounds, it is nearly certain the perpetrator of the crime would have gotten blood on his person or clothing. Authorities also found that 2 articles of clothing from one of the girls was missing from the crime scene, while the rest of their clothing was recovered. It also appeared the girls' bodies were moved and staged. The agent goes on to say, based upon my training and experience, it is common for perpetrators of this type of crime to take a souvenir or in some fashion memorialize the crime scene. The agent also references the video on Libby's phone, confirming it was 43 seconds long. Up until now, only a few seconds have been made public. It's this short audio clip where you hear the suspect talking to the girls. The agent also confirms the girls were being followed by the suspect on the Monon High Bridge Trail. The agent also says there were no visible signs of a struggle or fight. The search warrant is for the property of Ronald Logan, who owned the land where the 2 girls were found dead. You see him here in this video shot by Wish TV in 2017, just days after the girls were murdered. It describes his activity the day the girls went missing. The agent says Logan claimed someone drove him to an aquarium store in Lafayette on the afternoon of February 13th, at the time the girls disappeared. But the agent says these statements were found to be factually false and intentionally designed to deceive law enforcement officers. The agent says Logan contacted his cousin and asked him to tell that story before the bodies were found. Based on investigators' experience, it is reasonable to believe that the creation of an alibi prior to the discovery of a crime indicates culpability or knowledge of the crime. I asked the founders of the Murder Sheet podcast why they believe this new information is significant.
This is a situation where you've had a lot of speculation or rumors going around that sounded pretty realistic, or perhaps, sounded like well thought out. But it's another thing to sort of see it just in black and white on a court document.
I feel it is really important to get actual court documents where people are actually have to swear an oath that what they're saying is actually true.
Now let's tell you a little bit more about Ronald Logan. It's important to note Logan is dead. He died in 2020. He was charged with a probation violation for driving with a suspended license. He was never formally named a suspect and never charged in the Delphi murders. But in this document, the FBI agent says Logan's voice is not inconsistent with that of the person in the video. Now, we showed you that video of Ronald Logan in this story, and in searching through our archives, I found this interview with him shortly after the girls were found. Here's what he told us about the day the girls went missing.
Monday afternoon, I was in Lafayette Aquarium World getting tropical fish for my aquarium. So when I came home, one of the neighbors stopped and asked permission to come back here and look for the missing girls, and that's the first time I knew anything about it. So I fooled with my tropical fish the whole time that the search was going on Monday night, but then they didn't find them until Tuesday at around noon or 1 or whatever it was.
Stunning new details, Demi. I know you reached out to the girls' family. They had no comment. But what about state police and the FBI?
So I did just receive a statement from State Police Superintendent Doug Carter. He tells me, I would like to remind the public that this is an active and ongoing investigation, and we will do everything we can to protect its integrity and to not try it in court of public opinion. We cannot publicly convict someone based on a single document which was not released by investigators. Our profession will not allow us to speak on what we think, but to always speak about what we know. This is especially important with the heinous murders of Abby and Libby. We must continue to be mindful of their surviving family members and the entire Carroll County community.
Such a tragedy. It is. And I hope that their family can have peace. And I know the girls are fine. But that's just such a tragedy. It's terrible. However, I did want to mention them because that is big news today. It really is. And I just pray that they get justice. And I don't know if Indiana has the death penalty, but I really hope they make an exception for this. And for a lot of other cases, Tennessee for Summer Wells and, all these, it's just getting way out of hand. It really is. And it's just going to get worse, people. It will. I'm a small YouTube channel. If I play a song and I get a copyright strike, I don't think that would hurt me, would it? Because I am wanting to do a review on a song. This car keeps driving around and around and around. I don't know. But oh, I think it's kids. They're awfully loud. Can I? 10 o'clock? Okay. I guess I'll get off here, go check on Ziggy. They need prayers over there, really. Everybody needs prayer and therapy, in my opinion. Prayer and therapy. But like I said, I am a psychic medium. I do not read tarot cards. I was just born with the ability to know things and see things that not everybody can see and do and hear and all that kind of stuff. And I know it's scary to most people. They don't understand it. They think it's evil, and I'm having fun. I like to get dressed up and just. I've been listening to a lot of good rock and roll music, so I'm good. But I hope everybody has a safe Halloween, and if you're out drinking, please don't drive. Please don't do that. Don't drink and drive, because if you do, karma, and think of it this way. You will survive if you are the one that is drunk. But you don't have the right to take somebody else's life. But it's the karma side that makes you the one that survives and has to live with it for the rest of your life. So don't do that. Don't put others in jeopardy. Don't ever drive drunk. I have an issue with that. So I'm not sure why. I just don't It's just wrong. To put somebody else in jeopardy for no reason. And what I always think about is the kids. Because there's kids somewhere. And it will affect the children more than anyone else. Well, maybe the survivor. So don't be that kind of survivor. Don't drive drunk. You guys, it's been about an hour. And I know everybody has things going on for Halloween. Rock on, party down, whatever it's called nowadays. I'm going to jam out to some Disturbed. And I don't know if I should play any or not. I was wanting to play you guys some music. But maybe I should check into that a little bit more. Dylan has a big wolf in here. He's huge. Boy. Whoa. Back. Get back. Come here. Look at that. Look. Aren't you cute? Look, come here. Come here. Look. Look at the camera. Aren't you cute? He is. He's cute. He's pretty dog. Okay, you guys. Party out. Or party on. Up, down, all around. Whatever. See you later. Happy Halloween.